What if the worst thing happening in a quiet neighborhood was happening right underneath it? Not across town, not in some abandoned building, under a family home, lights on upstairs, curtains drawn, neighbors waving as they pass by. Sit with that for a second. Austria, 1984 to 2008, a town called Amstetten. Clean streets, orderly gardens, the kind of place where nothing like that is supposed to happen. And yet, for 24 years, something was unfolding behind a locked door that no one questioned hard enough. Here's what I mean. Sometimes evil doesn't look chaotic. It looks organized, routine. It pays bills. It smiles at neighbors. And that's what makes this case so disturbing. Not just what happened, but how long it went unnoticed. How normal everything appeared on the surface. Think about it this way. If you walked past that house in 1995 or 2002, you would have seen nothing unusual. Just a home, just a father, just a family. And that's the part that should make you pause. Because this story isn't just about crime. It's about control, silence, and how something hidden can survive for decades when no one looks too closely. Before we continue, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. Okay, let's proceed. It's hard to wrap your head around this case because nothing about the outside looked dramatic. In Amstetten, Austria, Josef Fritzl looked like a regular working man. Electrical engineer, married, several children, a modest house on a quiet street, the kind of place where neighbors wave and mind their business. That's what makes it so disturbing. Day-to-day life in the Fritzl home appeared structured, predictable. He went to work, paid bills, handled renovations himself. He was known as strict, controlling, authoritarian, but not unusual enough to trigger alarms. Here's what I mean. Plenty of households have a domineering father. People don't automatically think danger. They think old school or harsh. His daughter, Elisabeth Fritzl, grew up under that control. By her teenage years, their relationship was tense. He monitored her, restricted her, expected obedience without question. She wanted independence, friends, a life outside the house. That friction was building long before 1984. And while all of that was happening, Fritzl was expanding the basement beneath their home. He said it was storage, a workshop, normal home improvement. Think about it this way. Upstairs looked like an ordinary Austrian family trying to get through the week. School, work, dinner, silence. Downstairs, he was constructing something no one imagined. In August 1984, when Elisabeth was 18, he lured her into that basement under the pretense of helping him carry a door. After that, the public version of life continued. He told authorities she had run away. He went to work, spoke to neighbors, lived two lives in one building. And that's the part that lingers. It wasn't chaos. It wasn't obvious. It was routine, order, control. Sometimes the most horrifying stories grow inside what looks completely normal. It's hard to even say his name without feeling a kind of disbelief. On that very day in 1984, Josef Fritzl imprisoned his 18-year-old daughter, Elisabeth, in a concealed basement area beneath the family home. He had constructed and modified this basement space over time. It was hidden behind a secured door, electronically locked. Other members of the household lived upstairs, including his wife, who later said she had no knowledge of what was happening below. From 1984 to 2008, Elisabeth was held there against her will. During those 24 years, Fritzl repeatedly sexually abused her. As a result, she gave birth to 7 children. Think about that for a second. 24 years. That's not a moment. That's a generation. Here's what I mean. A crime that lasts that long requires constant decisions, continuous control, repeated actions. This wasn't impulsive, it was sustained. 3 of the children were kept in the basement with Elisabeth. 3 others were brought upstairs and raised by Fritzl and his wife after he claimed Elisabeth had left them on the doorstep. He told authorities that his daughter had joined a religious sect and did not want contact with the family. He even forged letters to support that story. One of the 7 children died shortly after birth. Fritzl disposed of the body and later admitted to doing so. That charge was included in the case against him. For years, the deception worked. Authorities accepted the explanation about the sect. Social services were involved at times regarding the children left upstairs, but no one uncovered the hidden imprisonment. The case began to unravel in April 2008. One of the children living in the basement became seriously ill and required medical attention. Fritzl agreed to allow the child to be taken to a hospital in Amstetten. Medical staff questioned the family's story. Police became involved. Under investigation, Fritzl eventually led authorities to the concealed basement area. Elisabeth and the children were freed on April 26, 2008. When the news became public, Austria and the rest of the world reacted with shock, not just because of the crimes themselves, but because of how long they went undetected. In 2009, Fritzl stood trial in Austria. He pleaded guilty to charges including murder by negligence, rape, enslavement, coercion, and incest. He was sentenced to life imprisonment in a secure psychiatric facility. And here's my stance. This case wasn't just about one man's actions. It was about control, total control, isolation, manipulation, lies maintained for decades. Think about it this way. Abuse like this survives in secrecy. It depends on silence and fear. The fact that it lasted 24 years tells us something uncomfortable about how authority inside a home can go unquestioned. Elisabeth and her surviving children were given new identities and have lived privately since their rescue. That privacy matters. After what they endured, they deserve a life that isn't constantly reopened by public curiosity. This story is difficult, I know that. But understanding what happened clearly and factually matters. Not for shock, not for spectacle, for awareness, for accountability, and for the reminder that abuse hidden behind closed doors can still be very real. And that's something we shouldn't look away from. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe.